Okay, this is episode 2 now of If I Knew Then. Today I have Kate Stankevich, Senior Cloud Architect at Onyx and CEO and co-founder of the Cognity, which is how I know you. I currently am a member of the advisory board for the Cognity, and I've had the pleasure of having really cool conversations with you about the company itself, but then also kind of what goes into it and being able to share my thoughts and influence certain things. It's been really cool getting to know you, so I'm excited to have this conversation today. So we could just get right into it. Kate, tell me a little bit about yourself and your current roles.
Yeah, that's as thank you all for introduction and always great talking to you. Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm a senior cloud architect at Onyx, where I specialize in cloud, in data and AI solutions. And this company exists for more than 20 years, so I'm always excited to work with them. The second part of my day consists of Cognity. I'm the CEO and co-founder there. The Cognity is an AI platform which helps individuals on autism spectrum to learn social skills. And yeah, that's about myself. Love organizing events, and during free time, I love horse riding and mountaineering.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to kind of ask high level questions. You could share either or. I'm interested in both. Okay. So someone who has really no idea what goes into being an architect on the back end, or even like the CEO role itself. So both are interesting. I'm open to whichever you want to touch on. If you want to touch on both, awesome. But so what inspired you to pursue this career?
So all of it started from computer science. To be honest, I was always the curious kid who loved programming, and it like during my childhood, I was like creating games, I was creating websites, all of this. So I think the path for me was quite clear, even if my whole family is in medicine or biology or chemistry. That still was my main focus. Um, and like the logical path was to go to study computer science, right? Education is important, and that's what I did. I did study computer science in Warsaw University of Technology, and just to improve my skills further as a leader, as a from the strategy perspective as well. I did my master's in Imperial College London in management with finance specialization. And that was like from my educational background. When it comes to the career, solution architects are normally people who evolved from data engineering or programming role. So you program, you learn everything from the back end, right? You do create the systems yourselves. And afterward, step by step, you getting promoted and you become a solution architect. This role, to be honest, can entail two things. Um, First of all, it of course designing the architecture. Sorry.
That's okay.
In my case, I work with cloud solutions. So for me, when the client approaches Onyx, for example, in this case, I would help them out to figure out what to build, how to build, and so on. And for example, in Sears, the previous company I worked for, that was my main focus. And for example, now I'm doing a little bit different things, but still helping the client to figure out the path. I'm working on a specific project and I'm helping out to resolve technical issues, build best practices, guide the client, try to find the ways to improve their current business. So this is what the solution architect entails. Um, the whole idea is that you need to know tech very, very much in detail, as well as you need to have this business acumen to basically help the client to progress further, right? In the business, from the technical side, from their strategy perspective, and so on and so forth. Um, when it comes to the cognitive, the way it started even earlier than the whole programming story, because my mom is a psychotherapist, and I was always volunteering in different kind of organizations and helping individuals on autism spectrum to in education, when I became older in work placement, right? All of like in day-to-day challenges, to be honest, as well. Um, all of these things like build immense love to like individuals on autism spectrum, helping them out and like supporting them. Um, while I was progressing my career, I saw a huge thing which was happening around data. Afterwards, now it's happening around AI. And I was always interested in this, and I knew that I wanna be somebody who works with data or AI. And step by step, I understand that AI developed to the sufficient level that it can help as well, like individuals on autism spectrum, in my particular case, develop social skills. So it was a great combination. And yeah, that's to be honestly how I ended up there. Um, I found my co-founder through the university. Back then, we were together in a data science club. It was always fun because either he was a president and I was a vice president, or we switched. It was always like fun to work on the project. So it was like he knows about the autism from first hand. So it was very easy to convince him that that's something which is needed. And yeah, I hope I covered the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea behind the cognitive, so it's cool, and your passion is clear. But have you always had kind of that entrepreneurial spirit, or is it always because, I mean, it sounds like to me what you love about being an architect is the understanding the needs of the clients and then helping them build the solution, and I know that you're doing that as well with the cognitive. You saw an opportunity, you understand the tech behind it, and the ability to solve it. But have you always wanted to create your own thing, or was that solely this opportunity?
To be honest, like because I'm in entrepreneurial business, right? I meet a
Hmm.
lot of founders and it always like super cool. Um, One thing I knew for sure that I didn't want just to create a business, like whatever will happen, whatever I would create.
Sure.
I really wanted to specifically focus on this topic. For me, it's like one of the most, like the most important criteria, to be honest. And like when I was thinking about like if I had entrepreneurial acumen back then, I think I did because like while I was little, I really had fun selling flowers for some
Okay.
reason. I
Okay.
it was the whole thing, and it actually became quite successful. Didn't expect it. I didn't even understand what was happening, but it was one of my additional sources of like revenue, like if we're speaking in business terms. But for me, it was just simply fun to talk to people, and I think now I understand that yeah, like I had probably it back then, but for me, it's extremely important to focus specifically on this topic. Like, if
Sure.
somebody proposed me to do any other business, I would be probably puzzled and not sure.
Okay.
Maybe it's something exciting, but I
Yeah,
do love this topic. Yeah.
makes perfect sense. Okay, so again, we could talk about both roles here, but what does a typical day look like for you? And are there any aspects of your roles that may surprise people?
Surprise, that would be an interesting one. Like from the day-to-day perspective, first of all, I have a very clear split of my day, right?
Hmm.
Um, so at Onyx, I normally like talk with a client in the morning, right? The daily stand up, understand what is happening with a project. If there is any need to support additionally, I could just schedule other meetings and understand what the problem is. So normally I'm trying to put all the meetings in the morning because this is when the fresh brain is. Um, Afterwards, I do work a lot with code, like for review, or I may design the solution, for example, which will support the client, which they mentioned during the morning, or like something intermediate. I do meet a lot of clients like offline, because this is when the connection is actually built. So yeah, this is like how it looks at Onyx. Um, Mostly it is, unfortunately, I do not program that much, but I do a lot of demos, for example, which is like super exciting. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is like from the solution architect perspective. Um, and one cool thing, especially for the people who are extremely interested in technology, you get to try all the new things, all the new toys on the market. And this is like super cool. And especially with the development of AI right now, I mean, this is
Yeah.
like amazing. Um, from the cognitive perspective, I talk a lot with therapists, with advisory board members like yourself, right? I do a lot focus on the strategy and what makes the user interested in the platform, what that make them stay, how to make this experience more smooth. And of course, um, another thing, right, is the autism spectrum is extremely broad, right? It's that's why it's called spectrum,
Hmm.
and that's why it's always very interesting to find um, different things, different features which you can implement in the platform and engage the user more, because for different people it would be different. And when we talk about simply consumers, right, the users, it's broad. For the individuals on autism spectrum, I believe it's even broader, even if it's a subset.
Sure.
But that's, to be honestly, how my day looks like. Focusing on tech stuff in the morning, and late evening, it's focusing on how to make users' life better in the evening.
Um, okay, so the namesake of this is If I Knew Then. And so I'm curious if you were to give advice for your younger self. So if you could go back in time, um, what one piece of advice would you give yourself? Or something maybe to focus on, um, a quote, anything that you think like if I knew if I knew then what I know now, how would I approach things differently?
Yeah. Um, I was thinking about this before our interview today. And like one story immediately came to my mind. If I may, like a little small
Yeah,
pre-story.
please.
Um, when I was just starting out in my work, I was like extremely nervous and whatever, like everybody is. And I was asked to write a small bio about myself, and I didn't know where it would be published. I thought it was one of the admin tasks you need to do, right? And I was like, okay, I don't have much time. I would just write one sentence and that's it. Back then we were working normally offline, right? So in the office, and this office had a lot of TVs, and I didn't know about this back then, but my bio, which I wrote, and you would know about this in a second,
Okay.
was shown on every screen, which was extremely embarrassing because the sentence I wrote was play work hard, play hard. And imagine this small kid, right, who doesn't know what to do, and all the C-suite people are approaching me. Oh, you're the girl, work hard, play hard. I was like, yep, that's that was extremely embarrassing, but I think this is the quote or my motto, or I recommend myself to live by this rule every day. And I think this phrase can be understood differently by different people, but I wanted like work hard is very obvious, right?
Hmm.
You do, you need to spend all your strength, all your brain power, whatever you have on this task, right? If you
Hmm.
committed to delivering something, you should deliver. But the play hard, I mean, people would understand it differently, but for me it was because when we're working, we quite often forget there is a world outside us, right? And the fact that I had a pleasure meeting different people, getting to know their stories. It helped me to inspire myself, to resolve different puzzles, to understand how career is better to be shaped, right? Because couple of years ago, right, I've been like this kid writing work hard, play hard on the TV. And I think play hard is about socializing, getting to know, expanding your network, finding like really cool people, like for example yourself, right? And anybody else who you believe like worth your time. And like when you talk to people and understand their stories, trust me, they have a lot to share and a lot of cool stuff. And yeah, that's at least my motto, my recommendation to my younger self. And yeah, work hard, play hard.
I like it. And I completely empathize with that. I describe myself as an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
And I was I my story isn't quite as funny as yours, but I was asked to do a bio in the beginning, and I did not want to, like writing it for myself felt very weird, and I didn't realize that every my first time doing it, I didn't realize people wrote their own bios. Like it reads very much, and then I when I started to think like that person wrote their bio, that seems very self-centered that they would write all of
I
those things
know,
that way.
right?
Mine was also like a sentence. It wasn't work hard, play hard, but it was very, very small. So yes, I completely agree with you, and that's also kind of why I want to have these conversations. Like I feel like I learn a lot when we talk. And I used to not do this because I don't know, it didn't feel very genuine at first, but then the more you do it, the more you find opportunities to have these genuine conversations. So I completely agree with you.
Exactly.
Um, Building off of that, though, so that makes perfect sense to give that advice. Like that's generally, I think, really good advice. But if someone, especially as someone who does not understand the tech side that well, I'm an end user. I do love all of like where we are with AI. I love using it. Um, but I have no idea what goes into it on the back end. So if you were to give someone advice who is interested in your field, what specific advice would you give them? Like what skills or qualities do you think that they should look to enhance or enrich if they're considering a career similar to yours?
Yeah, I mean, my opinion would be quite controversial, I believe, but I do believe it's an important part of becoming a programmer or data engineer or AI engineer, right? I do believe math is important, and there is a lot of boot camps, right, where you can learn Python like in 3 days or whatever. And this is great idea to have practical skills. But when it comes to the programming, and maybe I'm one of his old thinkers and whatnot, I do believe math is important, understanding what comes behind all of this, all the technology, how it's called underneath in the computer itself is extremely important because I remember when I was choosing to which, because in my university I had 3 faculties, which were both provide like all of them were providing computer science as a degree, but I was not sure which to choose. And my first question of like how many languages I would know by the end of the year, by the end of a course, right? Now I understand it was a very stupid question to ask. But back then I thought, oh, this is super important, right? The languages, that's what matters. It's not because like the technology develops all the time. So if you build yourself a strong foundation from math, from understanding how exactly the programming works, how it's coded in the system and whatnot, the languages will come naturally, right? You don't need to push yourself. It's like writing or reading an essay, right? It will become natural for you to understand. So this is one thing. If you wanna, like, I do recommend doing a lot of extracurricular activities. Um, Obviously, it's expand the network, right? But you also would be able to understand what you like and what you don't like.
Hmm.
Because if you go to a job or like internship or whatever, you have not like you're stuck in a company, let's say it's internship for 3 months. and you don't have time to try that much because you have only one project probably which you're working on 3 months, and this is a lot of time to understand if you like it or not. So I do recommend extracurricular activities, doing additional courses, participating in like computer science, data science clubs, right? Whatever is your focus is. A lot of people, for example, like my colleagues who work as a front end or full stack or back end developers, they do create a huge GitHubs, right?
Hmm.
A lot of projects. They have time to experiment, and by doing this, they understand what they like, what they don't like, and what they want to focus on. For me, with data engineering, I had an extreme pleasure to work with a lot of companies who were coming to us and bringing their own data to do the research. But if you don't have this opportunity, you can always use open source methods. For example, Kaggle has providing like really great data sets where you can experiment, do some challenges. There is a ton of hackathons. So I do recommend have a strong foundation and try as much stuff as you could to figure out what you actually like because the programming is huge, like really huge. So yeah, this will help you out to develop your path. And of course, I do recommend talking to people because when you're start working, you don't know what is even solution architect. You never heard probably about this. It's not like, for example, if to compare with financial world and corporate ladder there, you have very clear stages. In the IT is not that strict, right? So from company to company, it would differ. So
Hmm.
you clearly need to know what you like and what you don't to be able to state it during the interview. So yeah, that's at least my advice.
That's great advice. Thank you. Okay, last question for you. What are your future goals and aspirations? Like whether or not it's you as an individual, whether it's for the company, whether it's for the cognitive, you tell me. Um, but this I'm always curious about. Like what's next for you?
What's next? It's a good point. It's a good question always. To be honest, it's a very like tricky question.
Sure.
Um, there is no immediate answer which I can share, to be honest. The reason is quite simple because uh, I do believe that the world develops very quickly, like
Hmm.
with immense speed. And if before it was enough to do a course once and like 5 years, you're good, or 3 years, you're good. Now you need to do it constantly and develop your skills all the time. Like the most immediate inspirations is and plans. I do want to improve myself in the tech area still all the time, every day. I do want to spend the time with cognitive because I love helping kids. Um, so yeah, I think that's my main ideas, like the immediate goals, and what will be next. You could see in my LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much, Kate. I really appreciate it. I always love having conversations with you on this. Um, and is there anything else you want to share with, if anyone's listening to these, anything you want to share? I will say one last thing. I know you just mentioned it a few times, but I absolutely love the Cognitive. I recommend going to check it out, learn a little bit about it. It's a fantastic idea. And it's been cool being able to influence it even in a small way. But anything from you that you want to share?
I, to be honestly, wanted to say like immense thank you for inviting me here. It's always a great pleasure to talk with you. And I hope your podcast will grow strong and big, and I would be always excited to listen.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. All right, that's it for today. Thank you.